again, the short answer is trying to avoid previous hurt or previous things that they experienced that they worked hard to get. And especially if this person has built something valuable and sacred.
Did you know the median time between divorce and remarriage is around 3.7 years? And men tend to remarry faster than women after divorce. A substantial percentage of divorced individuals remarry, with studies suggesting that around 70% of people who divorce will remarry at some point. We're going to talk about that and so much more in this segment. What's up, Bravehearts community? This is Sean Heineman, your premier pre-engagement coach, back with another segment of A Scared to Remarry, inspiring you to love fearlessly. My co-host isn't with us today, but we're going to make it do what it do with our returning guest. She's no stranger, but let me introduce today's guest. Is on a mission to transform thousands of families by helping women embody the gift they have been given as the power force of the family. She teaches women how to build a deeper connection in their partner, as well as mind-blowing sexual techniques that will leave both of them and their partner feeling satisfied yet yearning for more. Bravehearts community, let's show some love to Sherelle Thomas. What's up, Sherelle? How you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I am good. This is round two for me today, and I'm excited about this topic. For don't fear remarrying, but fear staying alone. I thought this was interesting because, of course, I remarried. You've been through a divorce, so we can talk about this.
Yes.
The first question is, what do you think is the real reason so many people fear remarrying more than they fear staying alone?
Um, the short answer is previous experiences, like things that they experienced before, and they like, I'm so over that. I never want to be close to that experience again, that I would rather stay alone than remarry. But I think one of the most important things that a lot of people struggle with, which this was something that I had to work through as well, is like actually losing your identity, especially as a woman. A lot of times we, especially at a younger age, I got married at 22, we go into this relationship and we're thinking about how to please him, like how to take care of him and like how to win him, not realizing like that we both bring value to this.
Hi, I'm Clarissa from Love Fearlessly, and I want to tell you about the products we create with faith and purpose in mind. At Love Fearlessly, we design biblical affirmation cards, journals, and wall art to encourage you and keep God's promises front and center in your life. These are more than just beautiful items, they're tools to help you stay rooted in Scripture, speak life over yourself, and create an atmosphere of faith in your home. Whether you're starting your day with affirmations, journaling your prayers, or decorating your space with God's truths, our products are here to remind you that His love and promises never fail. So if you're ready to bring more faith and encouragement into your daily life, check us out. At Love Fearlessly, we're here to help you live boldly in God's love.
That is losing there's a fear of losing my fear was losing my identity again, because I did it, and it took me so long to rebuild that I never want to have that experience again. But the short answer is previous experiences. So that was mine, like losing my identity. But there's also things such as, those who have been duped by the court system, and like financially losing all their money or in a situation that they don't want to be in. There's a lot of women, some women who will actually lose their spousal support if they get remarried. So it's kind of like one of those things of, like I can date and all of these other things, but I'm not getting remarried, because of this. So I think, again, the short answer is trying to avoid previous hurt or previous things that they experienced that they worked hard to get. And especially if this person has built something valuable and sacred. Another thing in the beginning for me was my kids. I still to this day I think about that. Like I don't want to put my kids in harm's way, so it's something else, along those lines where a lot of people contemplate. I'd rather be alone than compromise what I got going. Things that I deem valuable. My time, my money, my sanity, my identity, things of that nature.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I was thinking too, because when you say about losing your identity and the fear of making those same mistakes, you know, do you think that might come from not thinking different though? Because I hear a lot of people say they don't want to make that same mistake again, but if you learned from the first one, or if you did the work, shouldn't you think different? What are your thoughts?
Should. Should is very subjective.
That's true
It
too. That's true
should.
too.
But and then you also have to think about like what's the work? You know what I mean? Like if you go purchase a house and you have no ideas that it's mold inside the walls, like if it's never been exposed, like how do you know? Like how do you know that I'm whole enough, I'm well enough to actually have this ideal relationship? But yeah, you would think that that would be the process. But another thing that I talk about a lot is how people say, like, I'm going to take some time off. But in their taking the time off, they're not actively working to heal. They just stopped. Which, if you think about it, is putting you further behind than where you were when you stopped.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, because there was a quote that says, "Time doesn't heal all wounds. It's what you do with that time that heals all wounds."
exactly.
Yeah, so you do get a lot of people, they just like, "I'm done,"
Mm-hmm.
and they're literally they're literally done, and then they carry that same story with them forever, and
Yep.
like, so what does life look like moving forward for you now? Because they
Yeah.
moved on, what does that look like for you in your own personal life?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it only make matters harder. Like I have a course, a digital course out, the art of healing, which is getting over heartache and heartbreak, and I say in 3 days. And it's not really where 3 days you're going to be completely over it, but it's like if you set this foundation for these first 3 days, um then you set yourself up to build up from here. If you do these activities in 3 day time spans, you can't help but to go up. But if you don't, you're gonna go further back. But I was sharing that, where was I going with that? You had just mentioned about how
Uh,
they don't make they say that again.
I was talking about how they don't make the changes, like they just stay in the same place. That the
Mm-hmm.
time doesn't he that time alone doesn't heal all wounds. It's what you do at that time that heals all wounds.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
And I had this client reach out to me. He was dating, and I share this story quite often because it just really touched my heart. And it's important to note what actions were taken in order to get different results. He reached out to me and he was like, "I'm done. Like I'm about to stop dating. I'm not getting the results that I desire." He was like, "All these women are the same. I'm attracting in the same thing. They just want my money. I'm wasting a lot of time. It's just trash." And we had a session together and we just went deeper. I helped him shift his perspective. And I also got clear on what it was that he wanted to call in and worked with him. And then I gave him some things for him to do, implement after we got off the call on a day to day basis. Such as setting boundaries. Why are you spending $400 or $500 on the first date and you ain't even had a full conversation with this person? Like it's kind of like throwing your money away. Like you're investing into something that it's just like leaving money on the side of the curb saying, "Okay, I hope this is a good return on. I hope I get a good return on my investment." But no, you have to do your due diligence before you do that so you don't end up getting duped. So anyway, those are some of the things that I worked with him towards and afterwards. Now, mind you, when he came to me, he wanted to stop dating, take time off, wait, and then revisit it down the line. And but he didn't have a plan. He did. It was just, I'm just gonna stop dating for now and hope for things to get better. Anyway, long story short, we had the session. He did everything that I instructed him to do. 6 weeks later, he met his now fiance. When he texted me and showed me that they were engaged, I was like, "You happy you didn't wait, right?" You happy you didn't give up, right? He was like, oh, so happy, so happy. But it's important to have the right support and direction and guidance in order to know how to get you from where you are to where you desire to be.
That's real.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I love hearing those stories. I love hearing, the testimonies of people that's like, at first I was dumb, but now it's like I'm so glad I had a, change of heart kind of thing.
Hmm.
Because people can change, contrary to popular belief, because people be like, they just gonna be who they they just gonna be who
Right.
they're gonna be, but people can change given the situation.
Yeah. Yeah.
If
And
they
that's the
given.
huge thing about it too is like being self-aware and understanding like what does that change look like? You know what I mean? Like you can't expect something different if you operating from the same energy. That's why you'll hear a lot and that's why people give up in dating because you'll hear a lot of the same stories. Oh, I keep attracting in the same situation, same, scenario. For me, for the longest, I kept attracting in married men. And I didn't understand why. Like, even to the point the one guy it was like three in a row. And that's when I'm like, okay, I'm the common denominator in all of this. So the first situation, he came in and he was separated and going through a divorce. And for me, I have a zero tolerance. You married, I don't want you. That's what I was, but my energy, my vibration was still attracting that in. So anyway, he ended up getting a divorce. I told him I'm not even gonna be friends with you because I know we vibe. Like I know we got like a dope connection, and my heart ain't gonna differentiate between marriage, and whatever. Like I want what I want. So I wasn't even friends with him. Like I cut it all off. But he came back like 4 months later. I got this divorce. I don't care what you got going on in your life right now, but it's time for me and you. So anyway, like we had a relationship. After that relationship ended, which it was cordial. He and I are still, cool to this day. But there are some logistics things that just didn't work for me because of his line of work. So anyway, fast forward to the next relationship. This relationship was dope, surface level, absolutely amazing. Spoiled me, catered to me, loved me, everything. When we were in the process of determining like living together and things of that nature. So it was kind of like testing the waters. When we started testing the waters of us living together, then I'm like, wait a minute, this ain't adding up. This ain't adding up. This ain't adding up. And anyway, did my due diligence and come to find out he was married. He was sneaking to get a divorce, which is why he wanted us to move in together or whatever. So anyway, not needless to say that relationship ended.
Yeah.
Next relationship, his situation was I'm not married. Like we haven't been together for 3 years. We're legally separated. I'm in the process of eventually getting a divorce. And I was like, I need to explore this. I'm the common denominator. Why am I attracting in like married men? I don't want no married man. Like what? What I look like? I want to get married again. So
Right.
anyway, or at least I was saying that I wanted to get married in, but me being self-aware and doing the work and actually figuring out why, I realized that I was afraid of losing my identity. Everything that I built, like there was a deep-seated fear of me losing all of that again because of what I felt in my marriage. So I can attract in commitment, I can attract in a relationship, but that same scenario that snatched it from me before, subconsciously, I didn't want that. Subconsciously, I was attracting in married men, and it was just like, no, something has to change. This ain't gonna work.
So,
But I did the healing work. And
mhm,
now my situation and circumstances are different. So just like how you said earlier, like, shouldn't, things change? Shouldn't you attract in like something different? Shouldn't the situation and scenario be different? It wasn't because I didn't deal with the root cause up until now. Like, yeah, now it's different. But I didn't know there was mold inside the walls. I didn't know I had a deep seated fear of, that level of commitment of losing my identity.
Mm. Wow, that's yeah. Now you got me thinking because, and this is not in my notes, but how many, what, what percentage of people do you think in 2025, right? How many people you think still not doing the work?
90%. How many people do you know have a love coach? How many people do you know? Even look, even if you read a book, right? This is why it's so important to get somebody who can actually help you. Think about it like this. If I needed to have surgery on something, who am I going to seek? A surgeon who specializes in what I need surgery on. I can't pick up a book and read about surgery and go operate on myself because there's going to be blind. First of all, I need to be under anesthesia.
Mm,
How am I going to be able to do anything if I'm, under anesthesia in order to operate on myself? And I think a lot of people think, oh, I'm just going to read this book. I'm just going to love myself. There's different levels to loving yourself, which I just realized.
mm,
Somebody asked me yesterday, this guy that I used to talk to, he was saying to me how he had never met anybody who loved themselves as much as I loved me. And he was like, it wasn't from a, conceited standpoint, but you really cared like about yourself. And that was like 2 years ago, is the version of me that he was talking about. And I was like, no. He was like, do you still love yourself? And I was like, no. Who I am today, I feel like I love myself unconditionally. Who I was then is I love those parts of me that were perfect or
yeah.
that I
Mm,
felt I didn't want to change, but I didn't accept the fact that, you know, I had an attitude that little West Side lived deep inside of me, and she could come out at any moment. Like I didn't accept that, but now I do, and now I love Lil West Side. Like I love all parts of me, and I'm not gonna shove her down in my pocket. I'm gonna hold her back, like, hey, let me handle this. But I know that she's there. I'm not trying to get rid of her. Like, it's a different
exactly.
energy.
Yeah.
And that's how I am with myself now. So back to your original question, I think a lot of people are out there thinking that they're doing the right thing, but how do you know? If you're not an expertise in that area, you're wasting all this time trying, throwing spaghetti at the wall, hoping that it sticks. And then you know what a lot of people end up with thinking, oh, something is wrong with me, like I am cursed. When in reality, it's not that. You just didn't get the help that you need in order to get the results that you desire. It don't come easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And especially if you're dealing with things like patterns from your childhood, things that you hold on to, that you're harboring, things that we witness on social media, things that we watch in movies. You know how like Beauty and Beast like did a number on me. I used to look for ugly men to date because
Really?
of Beauty and the Beast. That I saw this when I was a little girl, and I was thinking that, oh, I needed to get some in order for me to feel loved, like somebody really cared about me. I had to heal them. They had to be ugly, like, and I had to be the only one who could come in and save them. Nobody else, but only me. That's what I thought love looked like because of a movie that I saw when I was a little girl. And a lot of us are going around, feeling that way because of things that we witness in society.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Cheating, people expect to be cheated on. Like, it's absurd.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hollywood did a number on us for sure.
Yes.
For sure. I agree because just growing up in the 90s, you see all the Black love movies and
Mhm.
I heard one therapist say you can have a authentic relationship once you kill the idea in your head of who you thought they should be.
Yes.
When
Yeah.
you can get rid of that, then you can have an authentic relationship and accept somebody for who they are. Because I don't even think people even accept people for who they are nowadays. They still living with the image of what they thought it should be.
Guess what?
But
You can't give somebody something that you ain't gave to yourself. A lot of us don't even accept us.
us.
Like you don't when you look in that mirror, and then that's the messed up part, especially for women. Like you look in that mirror and you don't like what you see, but you expect somebody else to come in and make you like what you see or to like what you see. You operating from this place of lack
Mm,
already,
mm,
and then you're expecting somebody else to come in and save you. But I can't give you something that I don't have. You come to me and you be like, Sherelle, I want $1 million. I'm gonna look at you like, I don't know what to tell you. And love operates the same way. Like you can't, a lot of us are not real with ourselves. How can you be real with somebody else? A lot of us don't trust ourselves. How can you attract in somebody who you can trust if you don't even trust yourself?
wow. And that's a lot of people. That's a lot of people who expect someone else to come in and to love them, and
Love
they
them
don't even
more.
have, yeah, that's a
Mhm.
lot of people. And
Yeah.
they continually, they beating this person up. I mean, they got on their glove. They're like, you better love me. You
Yeah.
better,
Yeah.
because I don't love myself, so somebody else better do it.
Exactly. And then they end up with the short hand of the stick, feeling like I'm doomed.
Yep.
Something is wrong with me. When in reality, it's really not. You just need to get the help and the guidance and direction that's going to get you where you need to go.
For sure. Wow. Yeah, that's a conversation piece. Um, what limiting beliefs do you see most often in divorced Black women in their 40s, and how do you help them break those down? Those limiting beliefs. What are they for Black women? Divorced
Oh, I hate to say it, but it's the truth. Um,
Let's go, Sherelle. We here now.
a lot subconsciously feel like they have to settle. They can't have the man that they desire. That they got to get the short end of the stick and then fix them up. Like it's okay think about some of the things like that you see in movie, how the black woman has to get the hurt man and heal him, help him found a job, help him do this, help him do that. And then that's how they get the ideal man that you desire. No, I think that that's a limiting belief. My thing that I teach my clients and that actually help them get the results that they want is the one, identify everything that you want. I got one client that I'm working with now, and she want a ideal long-term relationship. And I told her to describe to me like what does that look like for you. And then another thing too, I pick up on energy. So anyway, she was describing it and she was like, I want somebody that I can talk to, about 5 times a week. And then I want somebody that I can see like twice a week. And I'm thinking about if you in a relationship with this person, like, shouldn't you want to talk to them daily?
Yeah,
There's
that's
somebody
hard.
that you're building with like 5 days a week. So the other 2 days, what are y'all doing? Like, and it's not like you got to be on the phone all day, every day. But if you're building a long-term relationships, communication is important. Where are you going the other 2 days? Why can't you talk to me on those days too?
Yeah.
So anyway, I asked her and I was like, love, like, are you saying that you don't want to talk to your partner, like 7 days a week? Like, are you asking for five because you feel like that's what you're worthy of, like
Mhm.
that's what you can get?
Mhm.
So like it's things like that, and I help my people identify whatever come up for you. You write it down. If it's 50 things, you write it down. And in reality, you can have all 50 of those things, but another process that I take them to through is, why do you want it? Because a lot of times we want it to override what's inside of us. Like you want somebody, I was laughing at this the other day too. Like okay, somebody said that my prices was expensive for my digital courses. And I at this point I'm having a birthday sale, which they're 50% off, and she said that they're expensive. It ranged from $11 to $54. $54 is the most for a digital course right now. And I said, this same person on social media mad and upset because he taking her to Chili's. How you expect somebody to invest in you when you won't even invest in yourself? Like, you want to go to fine dining, you want him to spend $500 on you when you won't even spend $11 to better yourself. And it's not to say that everybody has to buy my course. That's
Of
not what
course.
I'm saying.
Of
What
course.
I'm saying is that you want it, but you're not willing to do it for yourself. You want somebody else to do it for you. So again, back to that list. When I take my clients through that list,
Mhm.
we going down. Why do you want this? Why do you need a man who makes six figures? You ain't even got $1,000 in your bank account. Like, why? I could understand if you did, but you can't ask anybody to give you something that you're not willing to give yourself. You want somebody who, is attractive, handsome, and put together, but you're not willing to take care of your own body. Make it make sense. I posted something on my social media about like, if he not working out, I don't want him. Like, if he don't exercise, I don't want him. And then I stopped exercising, and I'm like, girl, like, how you gonna ask this of him and you ain't doing it for your own self? Like, I gotta check myself from time to time too. So anyway, like, it's certain things like that, like with Black women. A lot of Black women feel like, especially in their 40s, like that they need a fixer upper, like they can't have everything that they want. Like, they gotta settle for whatever somebody is willing to give them.
Mhm. Wow.
It's from a state of lack. And I operate and teach my clients to operate from a state of abundance. Not only is there one man out there who can give you what it is that you desire, but it's an abundance of it, abundance of them available. Not saying you need all of them,
Right.
but
Right.
it's a different energy from, okay, I'm going to get, a little bit when you can have so much more.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, because see, when we had these conversations, I be thinking of a whole bunch of stuff because now I gotta ask you this question.
Yeah.
So, do you date someone who, because for the person who has it all, right? Everything that they desire, are they actually going to get that person that they're looking for? Like they have everything. You
But
know
they
what I'm
don't
saying?
have the partner.
That's true too, but will they still have the same value? Will they still value that same person if they quote unquote achieved it all? Will they still value the person that's coming into their life? What are your thoughts on that?
If say it's me and I achieved it all, like
Mhm.
multimillionaire,
Yeah.
all of that, and then I get somebody who come into my life, like, will I value that person? Is
Yes.
that what you're asking?
Mhm.
Me personally, 1000%, because I understand that it's about the connection. That $1 million in my bank ain't gonna do what you can't. That $1 million can't hold me at night. That $1 million can't make me feel this sense of human connection. I can't have sex with my $1 million. Like, so of course, but that's the thing. You gotta value the person for the characteristics that they bring. That's where the difference come in at. And I think that oftentimes, like, that's overlooked, or if you look at somebody and you see that they achieve certain things, and it can be intimidating, but that's because you putting this person on a pedestal, not realizing that they're human just like you.
Mhm.
Nobody is above you.
Right. That's true.
So looking at it from that scope is what I encourage people to do. Like, who is that person? What value do they bring to the table? It doesn't have to be $1 million.
Right.
This is the thing. You do have to be compatible, though. That's one thing I learned the hard way in a previous relationship. I'm used to working for what it is that I like. I like finer things in life. I understand. Let me say this. You talk about, the limiting belief. I used to be willing to settle. I didn't need a man who make as much or more money than I do. But it's a huge difference when you bring somebody in your life and you're used to living 5 bedroom, 3,000 square foot house, and they want in a nice suburb, nice schools with 4 children, and your partner wants to live in the projects, 2 bedroom,
Yeah.
6 of us in a 2 bedroom, that's $1,000 a month. Like, we're incompatible.
Mhm.
It's okay if you're comfortable living in that.
Mhm.
But you got to understand, like, we're incompatible. I know for me, for say for example, I get somebody who come along, he got a 10,000 square foot house, make a certain amount of money. Like, I'm comfortable with where I am, I'm content with where I am. So if I have to work to take over that 10,000 square foot house, and those payments and stuff like that, it's a different energy because that's your need and your desires, not mine. You know what I mean? Like, and it's the same thing like with the ex that I was just talking about. Like, I can't expect him to provide for me because he don't care about this. He don't care about the space. He don't care about the bedrooms. He don't care about the suburbs. Like, that's my desire,
Mhm.
not his.
Mhm.
And he don't value it the way that I do. Okay, go ahead. I'm
And
sorry.
not, no, I hear you because sometimes I wonder is because I know you talked about the $1 million and having the money, and I get it. But do you think relationships are deeper when two people build together? Do you
Most
think the relationship is deeper when they, I won't say get it out the mud, but they like we had some struggle seasons, but we stuck through. You think that
yes,
has a lasting effect?
I definitely do. Under the right context, though, like, I definitely do. Think about it, like, think about parents, right? Like, when they co-create this child together, like, both of their seeds are involved. They love and they value this child that they co-created together. And
Mm,
it's the same thing like with the business. We put all our sweat, tears, like hard-earned money, everything in this. We built this together. So, and then it puts you on a wavelength of we appreciate this the same way. I mentioned this in my story yesterday. I think it was my story. I was doing this practice about sending out love to people that I got like angst, in my energetic fields about. One of those was my ex-husband. For many, many years, we've been divorced since 2019. We will have like moments where we will be, like on the same page, but it was never the compassion that I have in my heart now. So yesterday, he was one of the persons that I sent out love to, and what I received in response was my perception totally shifted. Like, Sherelle, you got angst in your heart about this man. This man married you. This man was your husband for 13 years. Husband, not a boyfriend, none of that. He saw your value, he saw your worth. He wanted you in his life just as much as you wanted to be in his life. And he allows you to operate in your life purpose, which is to be a wife and a mother. He co-created four of my most precious, the most valuable things that I'm attached to with me. I will never look at my ex-husband the same again.
mm,
Now I can look at him from a state of compassion, a state of love, a state of appreciation. Oh, you ain't paid child support this month? I ain't got to get bitter and upset. Do you? Like,
yeah, of
am I gonna say I'm gonna lay down and be a doormat? No.
course.
But it shifts the way that you look at things. It shifts the way you experience things. Like, it allowed me to take my power back.
Hmm. Yeah, and that's good because at this big old age now, I
Big old
tell
lady.
I tell my wife and even just people I know, like some things take time, like just let things happen in the season.
Mhm.
You don't have to be quick to try to get somebody back. You must not trust God. Let God handle that.
Yes.
Just,
Yeah.
I've lived enough life to see things come full circle in people's lives.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So now I'm just like, you don't have to, nope, just chill. Relax.
Yes.
Just, operate in character, have some integrity about yourself, let God
Yes.
handle that. and
Yes.
everything is going to work itself out. Because the minute you put your hands to it and you try to, get even with somebody, and you got the popcorn, you just waiting for them.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That's too much.
Yeah,
Too much.
yeah. And then it does is create a vicious cycle. I feel like that's what me and my ex-husband been on this vicious cycle. Like we can have moments of sunshine, but then there's this storm that we got to this storm. But somebody got to be willing to step outside of that to change the projection
Yes.
of this cycle of how we interact. Somebody got to change, or else it won't be the same.
It'll be 25 years later, it'll be the same cycle.
Exactly.
And then somebody just gonna get tired one day. They're gonna be like, you know what? I'm just I'm too old for this now. It's been 30
Exactly.
years.
That's how I feel.
You've been fighting for 30
How am
years.
I still mad? Like,
Um, what does staying alone look like emotionally, even for someone who appears successful on the outside?
this hurt my heart. This really genuinely make me want to cry because it's like giving up on yourself. Like it's like feeling like you're doomed. It's like staying stuck. It's like feeling like you're not worthy of receiving. Like think about the torture of that. I don't know why it put me in the concept in the mind state of a kid. Imagine being a sibling with four, let's just say four brothers and sisters, and everybody is getting a gift and they're happy and excited and you didn't get anything. Like that's the type of emotional pain and turmoil that I think about when I think about a person staying single and succeeding in everything else, but feeling like a failure in their love life.
Mm,
It's like one of them things of like missing out on one of the most sacred connections that you can have with another human being.
yeah,
Like, don't throw in the towel, don't give up.
yeah.
I see this a lot in women.
Mm,
I just did a private session giveaway, and the winners who got the actual session, they're like, oh my gosh, like, you don't know how much I need this. Like, and it's just like, if you need this so bad, like, why didn't you reach out for help before? You know what I mean? Like don't wait until there's dire need in order to go out after your desires. But the emotion looked like sadness, it looked like hurt, it looked like disappointment, it looked like God failed them, it looked like they failed themselves, it looked like I'm confused. I don't know why I can't have what I want, but I'm not getting what I want. So I'm just gonna stay stuck and act like it doesn't bother me when deep down inside, your heart is yearning for love. Human connection is like one of the greatest things that we experience. That touch,
yeah.
that intimacy, that vulnerability. Somebody seeing you naked, like emotionally, and you feeling safe with them and them supporting you, that's one of like the most phenomenal feelings that you can have on this earth. Like truly being seen and loved, but so many women give up on it, and men too.
Yeah.
But I got a heart for women. Like I know what that pain feel like.
Mm,
I can't relate to exactly what a man would feel, but I know as a woman emotionally, I know what it evokes inside of me.
yeah. Yeah, I think men feel the same thing. I don't think a lot of guys are going to say it,
Hmm.
which I think they hinder themselves, right? Because
Hmm.
you can't give whatever you don't address, nobody can give it to you if you're not going to say it,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
It's like going to the doctor and not telling the doctor what you're feeling and experiencing, but you expect them to fix it. Where is the pain?
Yep.
Doctor about to chop your foot off, chop your toe off, and it's your finger that's the problem. Like you gotta speak up. You gotta talk about your feelings.
hmm And that's the beautiful thing of a relationship, right? Is when you can be vulnerable, when you can be
Oh yeah.
transparent. when you do feel safe and seen. So those are great benefits for sure. But I think so many people just don't even know how to say what they feel. I think
Yeah.
some people might be so detached from themselves.
Yes.
They wouldn't be good for a relationship anyway because they so far gone.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Unfortunately.
accurate.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I mean, beautiful on the outside, detached on the inside.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like looking at a cake that's well put together, but soggy on the inside. It's not even cooked all the way through.
So, yeah, right. Like you got your microwave food, right? Like, you put your food in the microwave and it's like bubbling on the edges, and you're like, oh, this is gonna be good. And then
Cold in the middle.
and some people just like that. I mean, they
Yeah.
hot on the outside, cold in the middle.
Yep. Yep. So true.
Oh, you hot on the
So
outside, but
true.
you're cold in the middle. That's a show in itself. We
Right,
just
right.
cold in the middle. Uh, what role does intimacy, both emotional and physical, play in someone's readiness to try again and love?
I think you cannot have a healthy relationship without intimacy. Just like how I just said about, somebody seeing you naked, not physically. I'm talking about emotionally naked and vulnerable. Like that's like the greatest gift. Like it's like going to a restaurant and you're hungry, but you don't eat and they got your favorite meal. Like it's exactly what you need, but you're settling and you're not taking it in. And I feel like that level of intimacy is kind of like the glue that holds the relationship together.
Yeah.
Intimacy doesn't look the same for every relationship,
Mhm.
but you have to be open and willing to be vulnerable emotionally in order to have a successful relationship. Otherwise, you're missing out on all the benefits of a relationship.
Yeah.
I feel like that's one of the greatest gifts that we can receive is that level of intimacy in a relationship where you can be completely emotionally naked and
Mhm.
still loved in spite of.
Yeah, because I think that's where the friendship comes in. I think when I think about, sometimes like when my wife and I always tell her, I say, I'm grateful that you trust me. Like I don't ever want to betray your trust.
Hmm.
Like because to me that means the world that she trusts me. Like she never has to second guess me or ask me. So it's like I would never, not only is she my wife, but I'm like that's my friend. Like I don't want her
Hmm.
my friend.
Yep.
Saying
Yep.
so it adds another level on top of our commitment. So I
Yeah.
I, I think that like that friendship piece, like I just like that's my girl. Like I ain't trying to do her wrong.
Yes.
It's the best
Yeah.
feeling.
Yes. Yeah. And you talk about like the physical intimacy part. I feel like it's along the same lines. Like, imagine you wanting to be intimate with your wife, but your wife want to keep all her clothes on and you could do her through the clothes. Like she don't want you to see her naked. Like it take away from the whole experience. It don't even feel the same. Like
Yeah.
you got all
Yeah.
these clothes on. I can't see you. Like like oh man, yeah, that level again, it goes back to my answer, short answer to that question is the ability to be naked, the benefit of being naked in front of your partner, emotionally and physically. Like you cannot have a healthy, satisfying, fulfilling relationship without it. Not to the level that it was intended to be.
Yeah. And vulnerability is so, I think it's highly underrated. And the reason I say that is because you see people doing more emotional cheating now with social media, right?
Mhm.
And so there's a lot of guys who they might not physically cheat, but emotionally they vulnerable with somebody else.
Mhm.
And that just adds another layer of uh frustration, when it comes to relationships, because the woman, his wife is like, you don't even open up to me, and you done told her everything.
Yeah.
That vulnerability uh and that's another topic within itself. But when you talk about vulnerability, I'm like, it's so underrated, or at least I feel like it's highly underrated.
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of think about like a lot of partners. And let me also say this. This is why it's so impactful for what I'm about to share.
Mm.
Energy don't lie. Period. You can lie to your partner, but energetically, vibrationally, you can't lie. And because of that, like we're all vibrational beings having a human experience. Like we're spiritual having a human experience. We operate off of vibration. So even if you're lying, vibrationally, your partner can still feel it. Even if you're hiding, vibrationally, your partner can still feel it. This is one of the things like where I had a I had a relationship where vibrationally and energetically I knew things was off. But because this guy was such a manipulator, like he would always have a comeback ready. And then it started making me feel like I'm crazy. Like I know what my heart feel. I
Wow.
know what my vibration is feeling.
Yeah.
And it led me to the point where let's just say I lay hands. Like let me just say that much, which is totally out of character for me.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's one of them things of like you gonna make me feel like I'm crazy when I know what my vibe is telling me. Now it's a thin line between projecting what's going on inside of me, blaming, criticizing and all of that other stuff compared to a knowing, this is
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
intuition, telling me. So, because a lot of women will be like, oh, I know he cheating on me and this
Hmm.
and that. But where is that coming from? That's coming from you. You afraid of being cheated on. That doesn't necessarily mean that he's doing that. So anyway, it's a thin line between that. And that's why having a love coach who specializes in these things is very important to, you know, get help. Because
Yeah.
you don't know. If nobody ever taught you the difference between intuition and fear and ego, like how are you supposed to know?
Mhm. Yeah. So I seen a video the other day. This lady was like, what did she say? She said, you talk about your intuition, knowing when your man, I know when he's cheating. I can tell when he's cheating. She said, but you can't tell when he's struggling, when he needs your help or he needs your,
Yes.
she
Yes.
said, well, determine that then. She said,
Yes.
well, when I need to go through his phone, but you don't know when he's over here having a panic attack and you don't know,
Yes.
but
Yep. Yep.
the discernment is gone then when he's struggling.
Yep. Yeah. Yep.
I thought that was interesting. Last question I want to ask this because this is a good one. Red flags versus self-sabotage.
Ooh. Just what we was just talking about.
Yeah, like
Ah,
and the B clause of the question is how can divorced women tell the difference when re-entering the dating world?
okay. So red flags versus self-sabotage is all about getting to know yourself, right? So let me say this. If just like what I mentioned about me attracting in married men,
Mhm.
like it could have been a red flag that they're married, but there was also some self accountability that I had to take. That I'm the common denominator. I'm the problem if I keep attracting this in. So when it come down to red flags and self sabotage, it's very important to be self aware. Like, am I continuously attracting this in? What can I do differently to get different results? It's about you, the self sabotage. I always tell my clients before you ever go to your partner with a problem, you always start with yourself. What part of me is attracting this in? But a lot of people ain't ready to have that conversation. And I always use the analogy if I'm looking at myself in the mirror, and I don't like what I see, I'm not going to change the mirror. I'm going to walk away, address whatever it is that I don't like, and then come back to the mirror so that it can reflect back to me what it is that I want. And a lot of times within relationships, like that's what it's about. The self sabotage piece comes in that when you're not willing to do the work in order to get the results that you desire.
Mm, mm, mm,
Red flags. Just because I worked with a client before where she had an issue with notifications on the phone. Like every time the phone would vibrate or ding, in her mind, her partner was cheating. Why did she feel that way? Because in a previous relationship, she had that experience where the phone was vibrating and dinging and she was ignoring it, ignoring it, ignoring it. But her intuition was telling her, hey, something is wrong. But she didn't listen to it. And then it was the ring and the vibration one day when she finally listened to it and saw that, oh, he was cheating. So now in future relationships, every time she hear that ding and that vibration and a notification, she never healed. So it's taking her back.
mm.
Even though she's out not in that situation, it's taking her back to that feeling.
Yeah.
And guess what? Even with the new partner, whether he was cheating or not, emotionally, she was the one who was suffering because of the ding, because of the vibration. So she never dealt with that. And she can deem that, somebody can deem it like, oh, it's a red flag. Perfect example with my phone. Uh which I never knew this. I didn't know that people place their phone face down to hide. I didn't know that, but it was like second nature for me. I didn't like the light on the phone, so I would always place it face down
Yeah.
until somebody said to me like, "Hey, are you hiding something?" And I'm like, "No, what am I hiding? Like, why you always got to put your face?" I was putting it face down because I didn't want the screen to get cracked. Like,
Yeah.
anyway, no, I didn't like the light, but whatever reason, like I wasn't hiding anything. But that's a key indicator where somebody can be like, oh, it's a red flag, red flag, red flag. But in reality, it's really projection, 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 which is also self-sabotage. So the difference is understanding what is the foundation, where is this coming from, what is this fear attached to, what part of me is attracting this in, how can I deal with this fear in order to attract in something different?
Mm. Wow. Oh, that's good. I'm glad you get some clarity on that because I read that question. I was like, I can't wait to hear what she have to say about that. That's good because there are a lot of people who they say it's a red flag, but it's really self-sabotage.
Mhm. Yeah, and I feel like the best thing that you can do is have boundaries set in place, especially when dating, that you know. So one of the things that I used to have to tell myself is that because I used to project a lot. I feel like I'm the queen of protecting myself. I go into a relationship looking for reasons why that relationship won't work.
Mm,
Like, so it's like I had to learn the hard way. I get it 1000%. But I had to always come back to taking care of my side of the street. Like, what is it that in me that's causing me to see this or to feel this or experience this? I used to attract in a lot of cheaters.
mm,
And then I'm like, wait a minute. She got a faithful man. She got a faithful man. Like, why can't I get a faithful man? What
mm,
do I have to
mm,
do differently in order to get a faithful man? Then I went to a thing where I attracted in, I was on the street with men who never even cheated before. Like,
mm.
who can't even like fathom the thought of what that experience would be like
Yeah.
to cheat
Wow.
because they're so far away from it. But guess what? I had to do my inner work. Like I actually had to do it. And I wasn't sitting at home reading a book. I got a coach. I went to therapy. Like I read books, but I also needed others to point out what's my blind spot.
Yes.
How am I going to get to a place that I've never been to before with
Yes.
no direction and no guidance? And
Yeah.
a lot of people are trying to do that when in reality, it don't work.
It don't. Yes, it's yeah. You get in a relationship with somebody, get with somebody who can see your blind spots.
Yeah.
And are you open to? allow them to show you your blind spots.
Yeah, exactly. That's a whole nother
That's a
story.
whole nother story. Well, Sherelle, this has been a phenomenal episode once again. I mean, these episodes, they always go crazy. Like people
Yeah.
love them. The conversations are always great. I never really stay on task with my notes because once we just start talking and this question lead to that
I
question.
love it. That's how it
So,
should be, organic. Let it
right.
flow.
It
Yeah.
should be.
Yeah.
It should be. Well, let everyone know how they can get in touch with you.
You guys can find me on Instagram at Sharelle E. Thomas. That's CharelleeThomas. You can also go to my website, SharelleThomas.com. And on YouTube, I'm also Sharelle Thomas, I
Awesome,
think.
awesome. Cool. Well, Bravehearts community, you heard it here. Go and connect with Sherelle. For those who've been rocking with me for the longest, Sherelle is a regular on the show. Make sure you go and connect with her. And make sure you hit the subscribe button. Also, if you're watching this via YouTube, share this with your friends in your group chat. It's like four of y'all. Put the video in the group chat. Watch the whole video. Come back and then talk about it in your group chat because this episode was powerful. If you are listening to this via podcast, make sure you leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. By doing so, put you on the drawing for a free Amazon gift card. Who doesn't like free stuff? This is Sean Heineman with my special guest.
Sharelle Thomas.
All right, Brave Arts community, take care.